Hi, welcome to AICTE Prerana Scheme online classes. Myself, Naresh Babu, working as Assistant Professor in Department of Pharmaceutical Chemistry, Raghavendra Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, Raipur, Autonomous, Anantapur. In this connection, AICTE Prerana Scheme, now I am going to discuss GPAT model questions in pharmaceutical chemistry. So question number 1, trichloroethanol is an active metabolite of. So what is the active metabolite? Among these examples, amitriptyline, allopurinol, diazepam, chloral hydrate. So among these four, which one is giving metabolite trichloroethanol? So you'll see one by one. So what is the metabolite of each drug? So amitriptyline, it is a tricyclic antidepressant, TCA. So amitriptyline, we can observe here dimethyls are present to the nitrogen. So after metabolism, so it is going to give the one methyl is going to remove, N demethylation is going to happen. So this is the active metabolite we can observe. So amitriptyline after metabolism, it is going to give nortriptyline. So this nortriptyline is the active metabolite. So I'll come to the next example, that is allopurinol. So allopurinol, it is a purine derivative. So this allopurinol after metabolism, it is going to give oxypurinol. So you can see here in this second position. So this is the first position. The second position, you can observe the double bond O is going to form after metabolism. So this is oxypurinol. And next, diazepam. So diazepam, it is undergoing metabolism by cytochrome P450 enzymes like cytochrome P3A4, cytochrome P2C19. So by these two enzymes, so it is converting into nardazepam. So the difference between diazepam and nardazepam is nothing but the methyl group is not going to exist. So removal of this methyl group, N demethylation is going to happen and it is going to produce nardazepam. Otherwise, only with the enzyme cytochrome P3A4, it is going to give temazepam. So here the variation is that in the third position OH group is going to present addition of OH group by this cytochrome P3A4 enzyme. So next, after this nardazepam or temazepam, it is converting into oxazepam. So this temazepam, by removal of methyl group, it is going to give oxazepam. In the case of nardazepam, by addition of OH group in this third position, it is going to produce oxazepam. So the metabolites we can observe for the diazepam, finally the active metabolite it is immediately giving is the oxazepam it is giving. So these two are intermediates, nardazepam and temazepam. So the remaining one is nothing but chloral hydrate. So amitriptyline it is giving nortriptyline as the active metabolite, allopurinol it is giving oxypurinol, diazepam it is giving oxazepam as a active metabolite. So remaining one is nothing but here chloral hydrate. This chloral hydrate is going to produce trichloroethanol as a active metabolite. So this is the answer we can observe. In the case of chloral hydrate, so I given the clear picture here, the metabolism of chloral hydrate. So chloral hydrate, this structure trichloroethanol. So upon reduction, this dichloroacetaldehyde it is going to produce, and this upon oxidation it is going to produce dichloroacetate. And in the case of chloral hydrate, by the enzyme alcohol dehydrogenase in the presence of NAD, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, so it is going to produce trichloroacetate. So this trichloroacetate also converting into dichloroacetate. Or in the other hand, you can observe this chloral hydrate by alcohol dehydrogenase, we can see the presence of NADH and NAD. So these reversible reactions are going to happen. It is going to give trichloroethanol, TCE. So this only in the question asked. Trichloroethanol, the active metabolite of the chloral hydrate is nothing but trichloroethanol. So this upon with the glucuronidase or UDP glucuronidase, the transferase enzyme that is in the phase 2 reaction in the metabolism, it is converting into trichloroethanol glucuronide. So this is easily excreting from the body. So this is the complete picture of chloral hydrate metabolism we can observe. And second question, gamma aminobutyric acid is derived from. So GABA. So gamma aminobutyric acid we can call it as GABA. It is a neurotransmitter. It is derived from. So the given options are gallic acid, butyric acid, glutamic acid, glutaric acid. So you can see here one picture representing glutamate. L-glutamate, the presence of GAD and PLP, it is converting into GABA, that is gamma aminobutyric acid, it is giving along with carbon dioxide. So GABA, that is a gamma aminobutyric acid, it is a principal inhibitory neurotransmitter. It is primarily synthesized from the glutamate. So glutamate is nothing but the excitatory neurotransmitter. So GABA is the inhibitory neurotransmitter and glutamate is the excitatory neurotransmitter. So via the enzyme glutamate decarboxylase GAD, glutamate decarboxylase with pyridoxal phosphate, that is PLP, pyridoxal phosphate, the active form of vitamin B6, so this PLP as a cofactor. So by the conversion of this glutamate, that is excitatory neurotransmitter, in the presence of enzyme GAD and cofactor PLP, it is converting into inhibitory neurotransmitter, that is GABA it is producing. So it is the answer for this is the glutamic acid. And next question, who discovered oxytocin? So the discovering of oxytocin, so they given the different scientist names. So we can see one by one each scientist what he invented. So the Frederick G. Banting was a Canadian medical scientist, physician, painter, and Nobel laureate, noted as the co-discoverer of insulin and its therapeutic potential. So the insulin co-discoverer, we can observe this scientist, Frederick G. Banting. And in the case of James B. Culip, James B. Culip was a Canadian biochemist. He is who was part of the Toronto group which with isolated insulin. So isolated insulin, he involved in a group. And next, Henry Dale, he received the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1936, the year 1936, with Otto Louis for their research with proved chemical synaptic transmitter in the peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system, the synaptic transmission. So in this research, they got the Nobel Prize in the 1936, Henry Dale. And the next option that is Vincent du Vignette. So in the 1950 earlier, this American biochemist found that oxytocin is made from the 9 amino acids and he identified its amino acid sequence. So the amino acid identified and it is having 9 amino acids, this oxytocin, and the sequence also identified by the scientist Vincent du Vignette. So answer is the Vincent du Vignette. And next question, the bitter taste of suspension of femoxetine may be suppressed by. So this femoxetine, the bitter taste in the suspension form, it is completely suppressed by which mechanism? So either by chelation with EDTA or chelation with cyclohexanol and complexation with oligosaccharide or complexation with cyclodextrin. So mostly the drugs having bitter taste cause lower patient compliance. So due to this low patient compliance, so we are converting this bitter taste into, we are decreasing this bitter taste in the drug formulation. So many taste making techniques such as physical barrier coatings we can observe by sugar coatings and chemical modifications and sensory making have been developed. So among those chemical modification, the inclusion complexation of drugs with cyclodextrin, this cyclodextrin can provide the effective bitter taste masking effects without complicating formulation and delaying the dissolution of drugs. There is no effect on the dissolution, and this is completely going to mask the bitter taste of the drug by complexing with the cyclodextrins. So here also the femoxetine, the bitter taste of the suspension is completely masked by complexing with the cyclodextrin. And next question, edrophonium has a short duration of action because. So edrophonium, this is a structure of edrophonium. So it is a quaternary ammonium compound. So it is a short and rapid acting anticholinesterase, edrophonium, anticholinesterase. So it is a positively charged quaternary alcohol. So by seeing the structure, we can easily identify it is a quaternary alcohol containing group that binds reversely to the. So it is a positive charge. So positive charge means ultimately it is going to bind with the anionic site of the cholinesterase. So if you observe the answers, so it can form reversible complex only with the anionic site. So it does not make any esteric state. So only it is going to make a complex with the anionic state due to this quaternary ammonium salt present in the edrophonium compound. So it is a rapid acting anticholinesterase enzyme binding with the anionic site of the cholinesterase. So answer is D. And next, that is saline cathartics acts by. So by seeing the answers, we can clearly say the answer, that is increasing the osmotic load of the intestine by absorbing large quantities of water. So large quantities of water is absorbed in the intestine. So by that increasing of osmotic load, so due to this increasing osmotic load, it is going to cause the defecation of the fecal matter and causing the cathartic activity. And local irritation on the intestine, it is not going to cause this saline cathartics, that is irritants are going to cause this type of mechanism, and causing smooth clearance of fecal material, so that is causing by the lubricants, and increasing bulk of intestinal content, that is bulk cathartics, that were going to cause this type of mechanism. So saline cathartics are increasing the osmotic load of the intestine by absorbing large quantities of water. And next is the bile pigment. Bilirubin is produced by. So bilirubin, how it is forming? The bile pigment, bilirubin is produced from, so either by breakdown of leukocytes, or the breakdown of fatty acids, or from the breakdown of erythrocytes, or the breakdown of amylase. So you can see the lifespan of the white blood cells ranges from the 13 to 20 days. As we know that white blood cells are going to survive nearly 13 to 20 days, the lifespan. So after which time they are destroyed in lymphatic system. So in the lymphatic system they are going to destroy, but they are not going to produce any, these leukocytes are not going to produce any bilirubin. In the case of fatty acids, so fatty acids are broken down into carbon unit, that is acetyl-CoA it is going to produce in the metabolism of fats, but we cannot observe any generation of the bilirubin. And the breakdown of erythrocytes, the heme content of the hemoglobin break down into iron and biliverdin. So this biliverdin is reduced to bilirubin. So erythrocytes are going to break down this hemoglobin part is removed as iron and biliverdin. So this biliverdin is converting into bilirubin. So the breakdown of erythrocytes, it is going to produce bilirubin. And in the case of amylase, so that it is a salivary amylase breakdown amylose and amylopectin into small chains of glucose called dextrins and maltose. So this amylase is a salivary enzyme. So it is going to break the amylose and amylopectin into a small glucose molecules, and we are calling it as a dextrins and maltose. So the bile pigment produced, bilirubin is produced from the breakdown of erythrocytes. And next is the sodium phosphate in radiotherapeutics is used for. So sodium phosphate. So it is used in radiotherapeutics. The radioactive element in the phosphate, phosphorus. So in which category we are using this one? So carcinoma of the uterus and urinary bladder, treating polycythemia vera and thyroid disorders, and diagnosis of pernicious anemia. So a radioactive form of the element phosphorus, it is used in the laboratory to label DNA. So this phosphate, the phosphorus, Mostly they are using to label the DNA and proteins. It has also been used to treat blood disorders called polycythemia vera, and certain types of leukemia, but it is not commonly used anymore. So, and radioactive iodine, mostly we know that it is mostly preferred in the treatment of thyroid cancer. And the test for B12 deficiency in pernicious anemia, a malabsorption with the radioisotopes of cobalt. So in the diagnosis of pernicious anemia, so which type of radioactive metal we are using is nothing but cobalt 57 or cobalt 58 they are going to mostly using canapsors. In the thyroid they are using iodine 131, and pernicious anemia they are using cobalt 57 58, but in the case of treating polycythemia vera they are using this sodium phosphate. Next question. On mixing boric acid with concentrated sulfuric acid in a porcelain dish, adding little alcohol and setting a light, the flame produced is in dash color. So orange, blue, green and reddish yellow. So answer is the green color. When we are mixing the boric acid with the concentrated sulfuric acid, so by addition of alcohol, so you can see by burning this solution, so we can observe that green color is going to produce. We cannot observe any other colors. So easily you can observe the so many YouTube videos are there related to this question, and how this green color is produced. You can go through that for get clear clarity. And next question, that is which reagent is used in Oppenar oxidation? So in the Oppenar oxidation, what is the reagent we are using? So sodium hydroxide, sodium borohydride, lithium aluminum hydroxide, aluminum isopropoxide. So in the Oppenar oxidation is nothing but it is a gentle method for selecting oxidizing secondary alcohols to ketones. So Oppenar oxidation is nothing but oxidation of secondary alcohols into ketones. So secondary alcohols are converting into ketones by this Oppenar oxidation. So in this, the reaction is the opposite with the Marvin-Woodruff-Verley reduction. Completely opposite to this MPV reduction. So the alcohol is oxidized with aluminum isopropoxide in excess acetone. So how this alcohol, secondary alcohol is converting into ketone means in the presence of aluminum isopropoxide in excess of acetone, this reaction is happens. That is Oppenar oxidation. So it's one general reaction given for the Oppenar oxidation. So it is a secondary alcohol attached with the two substituents. So the reagent aluminum isopropoxide, the presence of acetone, excess of acetone, this secondary alcohol is converting into ketone group. So this reaction only we are calling it as Oppenar oxidation. So opposite to the reaction, the ketone groups are converting into secondary alcohol. We can call it as a MPV reduction. Next question, what type of physical properties encompasses molecular weight? So which property it is going to influencing in the, it is encompasses the molecular weight, either additive property or substitutive or colligative or constitutive property. As we know that additive property is influencing the physical property in the molecular weight. So additive properties depends on the total contribution of atoms at the sum of the corresponding properties of individual atoms within the molecule. Nothing but by totaling of all the atoms present in the compound, it is going to represent the molecular weight. So molecular weight is coming under the additive property basing upon this definition. So if you see the constitutive property, so it depends upon the constitution or structural arrangement of atoms within the molecule. So completely constitutive property is nothing but depending upon the how the structural arrangement of atoms in the molecule is present. And colligative property depends on the ratio of the number of solute particles to the number of solid molecules in a solution. So clearly see that the colligative property is nothing but completely depends upon the ratio of the number of solute particles are completely present in the solvent molecules in a solution and not the nature of the chemical species present. So the answer we can observe the physical property encompasses the molecular weight is nothing but additive property. And next is the following are excreted faster in basic urine. So in basic urine, which drugs are mostly excreting faster? So the given options are weak acids, strong acids, weak bases, and none of the above. So we can observe them because of enhanced dissociation. So due to the enhanced dissociation of weak acids are excreted faster in basic urine or in the not acidic urine. So in the basic urine, most of the weak acids are completely dissociated and it is easily excreted. We can observe through urine. Sorry. And next is the pH of buffer system can be calculated with. So the pH of the buffer system we are calculating by using which equation? So as we know that the pH of buffer system or pH of any solution mostly we are calculating by using Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. So Naismith-Whitney equation we are using to find out the dissolution rate of the solution or compound, and Henderson-Hasselbalch equation we are using for determination of our calculation of pH, that is negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration pH, and Michaelis-Menten equation, it is the rate of equation for the one substrate enzyme catalyzed reaction. So enzyme catalyzed reaction we are estimating or calculating by using this Michaelis-Menten equation, and Young's equation it describes the balance at the three-phase contact of solid, liquid and gas. So this Young equation is completely describes about the three-phase contact in solid, liquid and gas. Stokes equation it is a basic governing equation for viscous or heat conducting fluid flow. So fluid flow we are finding by using the Stokes equation. So among which one is using for the pH of buffer system to calculate is nothing but Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. And next the question, the intensity of the pharmacologic action of a drug is most depend on the, so the intensity of the any drug pharmacological action is completely dependent, intensity of the drug is mostly depending on which factor. So the given options are concentration of the drug at the receptor site and elimination T half, that is half-life of the drug, and onset time of the drug after local oral administration, minimum toxic concentration of the drug in plasma, minimum effective concentration of the drug in the body. So among these we can observe the concentration of the drug at the receptor site. So the intensity of the pharmacological action of the drug, the complete biological activity or pharmacological activity of the drug is completely depends upon the how much of drug is present at the receptor site, how much concentration of the drug is present at the receptor site. So this factor is much influencing the intensity of the activity. And next question, the volatile drug may be best administered by. So any volatile drug is present in the formulation means, so which route we can prefer to administer that particular drug, either oral route or inhalation, sublingual route, intrathecal route and rectal route. So volatile drug means mostly we can prefer inhalation route we can prefer other than these routes of administration. Inhalation method is more preferable. And next question, an antagonistic has. So what is antagonistic? So it is having intrinsic activity and no affinity, or only intrinsic activity and no affinity, no intrinsic activity and no affinity, and affinity same as agonist and devoid of intrinsic activity or none of the above. So what is meant by affinity here? So affinity is a measure of the tightness with which a drug binds to the receptor. So how much of tightly it is binding with the receptor, the drug can consider it as a affinity. But in the case of intrinsic activity, so the intrinsic activity is a measure of the ability of a drug that is bound to the receptor to generate an activating stimulus and produce a change in cellular activity. So completely it is changing the cellular activity by binding with the receptor site. So that we can call it as intrinsic activity. So the antagonistic has the affinity as same as agonist but devoid of intrinsic activity. So as same as affinity we can observe with the agonistic drug, but we cannot observe the intrinsic activity. That means it is not going to change the cellular activity. And next question, most drugs and metabolites are excreted by. So in which route mostly the drugs are excreting, or the metabolites are excreting after metabolic process from phase 1 and phase 2, either through by kidneys or bile or lungs or by perspiration, saliva and tears. And most of the drugs are excreting by the metabolites are excreting through the kidneys only when comparing with the other route of elimination. And next is the following compartment constitutes the largest percentage. So which compartment having the largest percentage in the body? That is plasma, intestinal fluid, intracellular fluid and fat. So you know that plasma, that is blood. In the blood we can observe plasma is present. Nearly the blood is 5 liters in the body we can observe in the normal adult. And intestinal fluid, so the distribution of fluid throughout the body can be broken down into two general categories. One is intracellular fluid, another one is the extracellular fluid. Intracellular fluid means completely the fluid which is present inside the cell, cytoplasm, inside the cell. Extracellular fluid means between the cells, what is the cell liquid is present, we can consider as the interstitial fluid. And the fluid which is present in the blood circulation, we are calling it as blood, or in that plasma we can consider. So you can see the picture, broad picture given here. Intracellular fluid, it is nearly occupying the large part in the body. Intracellular fluid, completely our body is present are constituting with the cells only. So that's why intracellular fluid is more we can observe in the body compartments. So after this we can observe the interstitial fluid. So interstitial fluid means what is the liquid it is present between the cells, and then plasma, that is in the blood, and then other fluids we can observe. So the following compartment constitutes the largest percentage is nothing but the intracellular fluid. And next is the catalytic conversion of GTP to GDP is carried out by dash subunit of G proteins, either alpha, beta, gamma or all the above. So this we can clearly explain by using this picture. It is representing the complete G protein mechanism. So the stimulatory receptor RS we can consider. So opposite to this we can observe the inhibitory receptor RI. So when the hormone is attached to this, so this G protein, so is the protein attaching with the G, so cell membrane, and inside this is a cytoplasm. So here G protein we can observe GS protein, that is a stimulatory receptor protein. So it consists of GB beta and G alpha and GS alpha. So to this alpha unit the GDP is attached. So the question is the catalytic conversion of GTP to GDP is carried out by dash subunit. So what is the subunit? Is alpha subunit. So GTP is converting into GDP, and this GDP attached to the alpha subunit is converting into GTP. So this is moving we can observe in the cytoplasm, and it is binding with the adenylate cyclase secondary messenger, and it is going to produce secondary messenger, that is cyclic AMP, adenosine monophosphate. By combining with the phosphate, it is going to forming as a protein kinase. So in the case of inhibitory receptor, so it is also we can observe the GI protein, that is inhibitory G protein. So here also GDP is binding with the alpha unit only. So here you can see GTP is converting into GDP, and the GDP it is attached to the alpha unit, it is converting into GTP. So this GTP is not going to converting, it is not moving and not binding with the adenylate cyclase. So it is not going to produce any cyclic AMP. So inhibitory action we can observe. So here the stimulatory action we can observe, GS protein and GI protein. So among this GDP is binding with the alpha subunit only. So answer is the alpha. And question 20, the Claude Bernard is known as father of medicine, father of pharmacognosy, father of pharmacology and father of experimental medicine. So this Claude Bernard is related to the father of experimental medicine. So father of medicine we can consider it as a Hippocrates we can see. And father of pharmacognosy, we know that Sedler is the father of pharmacognosy. And in the case of father of pharmacology, that is Oswald Schimmelberger, and father of experimental medicine, that is Claude Bernard. So these are the scientists related to these given answers. So here the Claude Bernard is nothing but father of experimental medicine. So thank you for providing this opportunity on this AICT Prerana scheme, and also thankful to Riper management for giving this opportunity. So I hope you understand. Thank you one and all.